Yeah, there's so many great things about the post-Olympic year and the opportunities that are out there, especially for the youngsters. And it's always a nice blend of veterans that are continuing to make the team and the youngsters like the Reagan Smiths and the Hannah Stevens and people that come in and make the team and get their first real big international experience. And so I'm really excited about the women's team and how it's shaped up. And we still have some fast swimming to do tonight and kind of finalize that team. But I think we're in a really good spot.
What's one area that you had some concerns in going into the week that you feel a lot better about right now?
I don't know that I really looked at it from that perspective. I'm more just kind of seeing day by day how the events go and the personnel as they qualify. Because each year presents all different challenges, strengths and weaknesses, and even with the huge success we had in Rio, there were a couple events that we didn't necessarily perform as well as we would have liked. So you try not to go in with that mindset. You just go in with a sort of a blank canvas and okay, let's just continue to paint the picture as people qualify.
So is there anyone in particular, any performances you were particularly delighted by during this?
Oh, Leah Smith has just absolutely stood out as a hammer. She's been phenomenal. 200 free, 400 free, 400 IM, 800 free. She's going to help on relays. I know she's swimming the mile later today. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch with her and Katie in a lot of those freestyle events. And she's on the women's side, certainly someone that stood out.
What about some of the new, younger swimmers new to the international team?
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited for them. In 2013, here in India at World Trials, it was the first time Maya Dorado had made the main international team, and I remember that being such a huge deal for her, for us as a program at the time, and that reliving how she went from 13 to 14 to 15 to 16 and the success that she had in Rio. It's fun to kind of see where this team is and who's that next one that's kind of stepping into that mold. So, yeah.
How much can you draw on some of the things that you picked up from last year, the training camp for the Olympic team, to kind of apply to this group?
It's very different, and I think that's where we have to be careful. I don't think our goal, at least my goal for the women's team, isn't to try and recreate the Rio experience, because I think that's what makes the Olympics so unique and so special. I also want to make sure that our youngsters get the full experience of being on the A team, the international A team, and not taking it. I don't want the veterans just to take it for granted, and I want to make sure that they give the youngsters that sort of full experience of what it's like to put on the American flag cap and how meaningful that is, regardless of what kind of meet it is. I think some of the other stuff just has a different feel. It's a shorter camp. Dave Durden and I, who were very good friends, and obviously we coached together, and now we're coaching together on this trip. We were talking yesterday about, for some it's going to be a training camp, for some it's going to be a maintenance camp, for some it's going to be a resting camp. And just really trying to find how each individual on the team fits into that, and kind of get all the personalities together and just start to build towards Budapest.
How does in that same vein, do you have anything in mind for ways that you're going to build relationships with athletes that you haven't worked with yet?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely do some kind of silly icebreaker activities. We did some great stuff in Rio. Not that we would do the same things, we do different stuff, but absolutely. And just trying to create an environment where they can casually get to know each other a little bit better, because some of them aren't going to be very familiar with each other. When you have 14-year-old and you have some 16, 17-year-olds, and then you have your elder states folks on there, it's a different blend, and they probably haven't been on teams together, and so really just getting to know each other and being able for an Elizabeth Beisel to share her experiences at international competitions and camps, and how much value something like that has to the younger individuals on the team.
How does your experience with Dave, your history with Dave, your friendship with Dave, how has that let you guys make plans for what you want to do and come up with some interesting ideas?
Yeah, I think a lot of the team stuff happens separately. I think we do a lot of single gender stuff in terms of our meetings. but just being on the trip with them is going to be a really fun experience. We joke a lot, we make fun of each other a lot, and we've known each other for a long time, and so it's a sense of comfort knowing I know how Dave operates and he knows how I operate, and I think that really helps us kind of continue to move the team either together and then at times separately, but kind of knowing that the goal at the end of the meet is to win as many medals for Team USA as we can and to get as much experience as we can.
So team seems to have been a really important part of this team's success in London and Rio.
Sure.
What are a couple examples of what you do to build that team for product?
Well, it really depends. I think as college coaches, we sort of live in that mold all the time of being in an environment where you take a group of people that, while they're very similar in what they value, they're very different personalities, and you take them and you move through a season, and each season is very different. And how we came together at Stanford this year was very different than how we came together in 2016. The team in 2016 came together probably very differently than the London team in 2012. And until you get out there and you sort of get a sense of what's going to be effective, but we'll rely a lot on our captains. We select captains pretty early, and we're actually trying to do that before we even leave for Croatia for the camp. I think that's going to be, I'm going to lean on our captains a lot because they've got a ton of experience. Some of them have been on more international trips than I have. So, I think that's kind of neat.
Do you know who the assistant coaches are going to be yet?
It's coming together. Pretty good list, or a pretty complete list, but not all the way. And I'm excited about finalizing that list with Frank at the end of the day today and announcing that.
What kind of effect did having swimmers with star power like Manuel, Ledecky, and Lily King have on the rest of the team?
Yeah, I think they performed in the moment when it mattered most. And there's really something to be said for that and the experience that they can share with the youngsters. I remember so much about last summer during the camp in San Antonio and Atlanta was about how hard Olympic trials is. It's just the most difficult, challenging meet mentally and physically. And once you get through that, there's a sense of relief. This doesn't have that same exact feel because it's 5 days, which is still a really long meet. But it is still like, okay, we've made the team, and now we can really start to come together, and they have the opportunity to look towards a Simone or a Katie or a Lily or a Kathleen Baker and rely on them for, okay, I'm nervous. How do I handle this? You start to freak out a little bit before your first event, and just having a sense of calm and being able to sometimes just simply watch and observe. I love going to meets as a young coach. I did that with older coaches, and just watching what they did and how they talked with their athletes and worked with them, and being able to learn from that. I think it's the same for the athletes.
Real quick, balance having so many of your own athletes here and kind of keeping an eye on the big picture for the national team.
Yeah, it's a good challenge to have. We have 3 qualified on the team so far in a whole number of events. And that's still, at this competition, that's still my priority. Is until the meet's over, we're still trying to qualify, including we've got a couple of really big swims tonight in the 50 and the 200 IM, and we even have 2 in the final of the mile, not including Katie. And so, that's still my priority. But at the same time, I've been really paying attention to who's making it and introducing myself to some of the ones that I haven't met yet, and then probably just importantly as anything else, having conversations with the coaches. With getting an opportunity to sit down and chat with Mike Corrado, who I've known since I was 8. We used to do a kind of a home and away meet with Seacoast when he was in New Hampshire, when Jenny Thompson was there, and so kind of those conversations and relationships are really important right now. And the work that has to be done from now until we leave for Croatia.
So, real quick, as Greg being the Stanford coach, what did you say to Ella after her report on Miami the other night getting DQ? How do you think she's stronger for that going into tonight?
There isn't really anything that you can say that's going to make her feel better other than she had the swim of her life. And, she's been really nervous about long course swimming. for the last couple of years, and she performed incredibly well in short course racing. And coming into this meet after not a great experience last year at trials, there was some anxiety, and she came out the first day and finished 4th in the 200 fly and won a best time by a second, and then had a really good swim in the prelim of the 200 free, and then came in on Thursday and obviously did what she did in the 4 AM and went I think 5 or 6 seconds faster than she did at trials last year, and nobody can take that swim away from her. It was still 4:36 any way you slice it, and so she's taken that with her, and all circumstances considered, I think she's held it together incredibly well.
Thanks, Greg.